The Wild West is full of iconic imagery, shootouts, cowboys, and gunslingers. These stories of outlaws and lawmen have become a staple of American folklore, with their lives and deaths often taking on legendary proportions. Some died in dramatic fashion, solidifying their place in history, while others met more ordinary ends. Despite the romanticized tales, many simply succumbed to the harsh realities of life in the Old West, facing the grueling hardships that came with living in such an unforgiving environment.
Henry Plumber may have played both sides of the law. Henry Plumber remains a controversial and enigmatic figure of the Old West, with varying accounts of his life and actions. Depending on the source, he is either remembered as a law-abiding sheriff who met an unjust end, or as a corrupt official who abused his power and committed numerous crimes. The historical record on Plumber is sparse and often conflicting. It is known that he was involved in several deadly encounters, though there are arguments that these incidents may have occurred in self-defense. His tenure as sheriff was notably brief. He was elected to the position just a year before his death in 1864. Plummer's downfall came when a vigilante mob, convinced of his criminal activities and abuses of power, took matters into their own hands. The crowd forced him to the gallows, where he ended his life. Wild Bill Hickock and the Dead Man's Hand. Wild Bill Hickock gained national attention after a magazine published his dramatic account of killing 3 men who had threatened his life. Hickock's prowess with firearms was demonstrated through a series of intense gunfights, showcasing his skills and earning him recognition as one of the West's most renowned figures. However, Hickock's career took a tragic turn following an accidental shooting in which he killed his own deputy during a shootout. This incident marked a significant turning point, and Hickock's once luminous star began to wane. As his fame faded, he faced increasing hardship and was reduced to making a living as a card player in Deadwood, South Dakota. On a fateful day in August, Hickock's fortunes took a final and tragic turn. While seated in a saloon with his back to the door, a young gunslinger named Jack McCall entered and shot Hickock in the back of the head. In a twist of fate, McCall attempted to fire at others in the saloon, but his subsequent shots misfired. At the time of his death, Hickock was holding a hand of cards known as aces and eights. This particular combination has since become famously associated with Hickock's legacy and is referred to as the Dead Man's Hand. Belle Starr was ambushed. Belle Starr is often remembered more for her associations with outlaws than for committing crimes herself. Although she was convicted of horse theft and served 9 months in prison, she was not later found guilty of any other crimes. Starr's criminal record was relatively sparse compared to the reputation she cultivated through her connections. She was married twice, and both of her husbands met violent ends in gunfights, further adding to her notorious image. Her choice of companions and her involvement with such characters inevitably intertwined her life with the criminal underworld. The influence of these associations ultimately led to her untimely death. One day while traveling home, Belle Starr was ambushed and shot twice in the back. Despite investigations, the identity of her assailant remained unknown. Her death generated numerous rumors and theories, one of which suggested that her own son, Ed Starr, might have been involved in the tragic incident. Belle Starr's life and death remain enveloped in mystery, illustrating the often blurred lines between legend and reality in the world of the Old West. Butch Cassidy may have shot the Sundance Kid. When we think of Butch Cassidy and the Sundance Kid, images of Paul Newman and Robert Redford might come to mind, thanks to the iconic portrayal in film. Yet the real lives of these infamous outlaws were as dramatic and compelling as their on-screen representations. Butch Cassidy and his partner, the Sundance Kid, were notorious for their criminal exploits as part of the Wild Bunch, Cassidy's well-organized gang. Their heists were highly lucrative, with an average take of around $35,000 per robbery. Cassidy's meticulous planning made them exceptionally elusive, and for years law enforcement struggled to capture them. After a lengthy career of criminal activities, Cassidy and the Sundance Kid chose to retire from their life of crime and relocate to South America, seeking a fresh start. They managed to maintain a relatively low profile in their new environment, but their past eventually caught up with them. The duo was reportedly involved in a robbery of a payroll in Bolivia, which led to their being cornered by the Bolivian cavalry. During a standoff, a gunfight ensued, resulting in injuries, with the Sundance Kid being among those hurt. That night, 2 gunshots were heard from the location where the outlaws were hiding. When authorities discovered their bodies, both men were found with fatal gunshot wounds. Sundance Kid with a bullet between his eyes and Butch Cassidy with a self-inflicted gunshot to his temple. Despite these reports, the identities of the deceased men have been the subject of considerable debate. There were persistent rumors and sightings suggesting that Butch Cassidy may have survived and lived for several years after this incident. These rumors have contributed to the enduring mystery surrounding the true fate of Butch Cassidy and the Sundance Kid, leaving their ultimate end as one of the great unsolved enigmas of the Old West. Alcoholism killed Calamity Jane. Calamity Jane's name provides a hint into the adventurous and unconventional life she led. To support herself during the challenging days of the frontier, Jane often adopted a male persona, working various jobs, including as a Pony Express rider. There are also suggestions that she may have worked as a prostitute at certain points in her life, though these claims are less well documented. Jane gained significant fame as a sharpshooter with Buffalo Bill's Wild West show, where she showcased her impressive marksmanship while riding horseback. Her talents on stage contributed to her growing notoriety, and she became known not only for her skills, but also for her enjoyment of a lively social life. Jane was often seen indulging in heavy drinking and reveling in the pleasures of her time, which became a significant part of her public image. Unfortunately, her fondness for alcohol eventually took a toll on her health. Jane struggled with severe alcoholism for many years, a condition that ultimately led to her early death at the age of 51. According to popular lore, she was laid to rest beside Wild Bill Hickock, a friend and occasional companion. The tale suggests that this arrangement was meant to unite them in the afterlife, although the nature of their relationship remains a matter of speculation. Hickock, known for his own complex and often solitary life, reportedly had little romantic interest in Jane. Billy the Kid was felled by a sheriff. Billy the Kid was indeed just a young man when he gained infamy in the Old West. At the tender age of 18, he had already been linked to up to 17 killings, reflecting a life marked by violence and evasion. His criminal activities kept him on the run, eluding law enforcement efforts. Eventually, Sheriff Pat Garrett managed to capture Billy the Kid. Following his arrest, Billy was put on trial and found guilty of his crimes. He was sentenced to hang, and his execution was set for 1881. However, just days before he was scheduled to face the gallows, Billy made a dramatic escape from his cell, killing 2 guards in the process. Sheriff Garrett embarked on a relentless pursuit that lasted 3 months. He followed various leads and tips about Billy's whereabouts. The breakthrough came when Garrett received a crucial tip about Billy's location. Billy was staying at the Maxwell Ranch in New Mexico, and Garrett seized the opportunity. Under the cover of darkness, he stealthily entered Billy's bedroom and waited for his target. When Billy the Kid finally entered the room, Garrett acted swiftly, ending Billy's life with a fatal shot. This event marked a dramatic conclusion to the pursuit of one of the most notorious outlaws of the time. However, like many legendary figures of the Old West, Billy's death gave rise to various conspiracy theories. Some questioned whether the man killed by Garrett was indeed Billy the Kid, or if it was another young man who bore a resemblance to the 21-year-old outlaw. In the years following Billy the Kid's death, 2 different individuals emerged, claiming to be the famous outlaw. Despite their assertions, their identities and stories could never be conclusively verified. Jesse James was shot in the back by a member of his gang. Jesse James was renowned for his exceptional skills as an outlaw, to the point where Missouri's governor, Thomas Crittenden, became personally invested in bringing him to justice. Crittenden's determination to capture James was driven by a strong sense of vendetta, fueled by James's continued criminal activities and the challenge he presented to law enforcement. Following a failed bank heist, Jesse and his brother Frank James decided to lay low. During this period, Frank grew weary of the outlaw life and chose to leave Jesse's gang, seeking a more conventional existence. Frank's departure left Jesse in a difficult position as he had to recruit new members for his gang, many of whom lacked the loyalty and trustworthiness of his previous associates. Among these new recruits were the Ford brothers, Bob and Charlie. Charlie had recently joined Jesse's crew, and his presence caught the attention of Bob Ford. When Bob learned about Governor Crittenden's substantial reward of $10,000 for Jesse's capture, he saw an opportunity to turn the situation to his advantage. Bob persuaded his brother Charlie to join him in a plot against Jesse. They negotiated with Crittenden, who promised them both the reward money and a pardon for their crimes in exchange for their betrayal. A few months later, the Ford brothers managed to secure a position within Jesse's inner circle. They moved into one of Jesse's homes, where they planned their next move. One day while Jesse was in the house, he became overheated and removed his coat, along with his pistols, leaving him momentarily unarmed. At this point, Jesse stood on a chair to dust a picture on the wall, unaware of the impending betrayal. At that moment, Bob Ford seized the opportunity and fatally shot Jesse James in the back of the head. This dramatic turn of events not only marked the end of Jesse James's infamous criminal career, but also highlighted the dangerous dynamics of trust and betrayal in the world of outlaws. Annie Oakley died of anemia. Annie Oakley became an icon and an inspiration to young girls across the nation when she made a name for herself as one of the most remarkable sharpshooters in history. She spent many years performing with Buffalo Bill's Wild West show, showcasing her incredible shooting skills to audiences far and wide. However, before she gained fame as Annie Oakley, she was known as Annie Mosey, or Annie Moses. She was just a 16-year-old girl with an extraordinary talent for marksmanship. During a visit to her sister, Annie's reputation for being a talented shooter led to a unique opportunity. The local hotel keeper arranged a trap shooting competition between her and a well-known exhibition shooter named Frank Butler. The contest involved shooting at 25 targets with the goal of hitting as many as possible. Frank managed to hit 24 out of 25 targets, a highly impressive score. However, Annie hit all 25 targets, showcasing her unmatched precision and skill. Frank Butler was not only impressed by Annie's shooting prowess, he was also captivated by her charm and confidence. The two quickly developed a bond, and their mutual admiration blossomed into love. They married soon after, beginning a partnership that would last nearly 5 decades. Tragically, Annie's health declined later in life, and she eventually passed away from anemia. Her death marked the end of an era for the iconic sharpshooter. Just 18 days later, Frank Butler also passed away. While the exact cause of his death is not documented, many believe that his heartache from losing Annie contributed to his passing. The couple was laid to rest together in Annie's family plot, symbolizing the enduring connection and love they shared throughout their lives. Their story is a testament to the power of love, talent, and partnership, leaving a legacy that continues to inspire generations. One of Hollywood's greatest cowboys cried at Wyatt Earp's funeral. Wyatt Earp, the famed lawman, was not widely recognized during his lifetime in the 1800s. It was only after his death that he became a well-known figure, largely due to a biography that detailed his daring exploits, including the famous gunfight at the Oakley Corral. As his years of enforcing the law and living the rugged life of the frontier came to a close, Earp sought a quieter existence. He eventually settled in Los Angeles, far from the dusty trails and bustling saloons of his past. In California, he found himself drawn to the burgeoning film industry, particularly the emerging genre of westerns, which sought to capture the spirit of the frontier era he had lived through. Earp's knowledge and firsthand experience made him a valuable asset to filmmakers, and he became an unpaid consultant for Western films. Through his involvement in the movie industry, Earp formed close friendships with some of Hollywood's early Western stars, including William Hart and Tom Mix. These actors admired Earp not only for his colorful past, but also for his insight into the realities of frontier life. The relationships he built with these stars extended beyond professional collaboration. When Earp passed away in 1929, both William Hart and Tom Mix served as pallbearers at his funeral, a testament to the deep respect they held for him. It is said that Tom Mix was so moved by Earp's passing that he wept during the ceremony, highlighting the profound impact Earp had on those who knew him. Bat Masterson had a heart attack at his desk. Bat Masterson spent the early years of his life as a gunslinger, known for his prowess with firearms and involvement in numerous skirmishes across the frontier. His life took a pivotal turn when he crossed paths with Wyatt Earp, a fellow lawman and legendary figure of the Old West. Earp recognized Masterson's potential and persuaded him to take up a role in law enforcement, believing that his skills could help bring order to the tumultuous streets of Dodge City, Kansas. With his two brothers already serving as lawmen nearby, Masterson agreed to take on the challenge, stepping into the role of sheriff. As sheriff, Masterson faced both triumphs and tragedies. His tenure was marked by his ability to restore some semblance of order to Dodge City, a place infamous for its lawlessness and rowdy saloons. However, his time as a lawman also brought personal loss. Masterson witnessed the brutal murder of his brother, Ed, who was gunned down in the line of duty. This event profoundly impacted Masterson, reinforcing the harsh realities and dangers of life on the frontier. By the time he reached his late 40s, Masterson had grown weary of the constant violence and unpredictability that defined the West. Longing for a more peaceful life, he decided to leave behind the gunfights and dusty trails, opting instead for the bustling streets of the East Coast. He relocated to New York City with his wife, where he sought a new beginning. In New York, Masterson took on the role of a newspaper journalist, writing about sports and offering commentary on various issues of the day. His sharp wit and first-hand knowledge of the Wild West made him a popular figure in the city. Additionally, he served as a U.S. Marshal, bringing a sense of justice from the frontier to the urban landscape. Masterson's new life in New York provided a stark contrast to the wild days of his past, but it allowed him to continue contributing to society in meaningful ways. Sadly, Bat Masterson's life came to an end on October 25, 1921, when he suffered a fatal heart attack at the age of 67. Fittingly, he passed away at his desk, still dedicated to his work as a journalist. Doc Holliday died of tuberculosis at the age of 36. John Henry Doc Holliday initially embarked on a career as a dentist after earning his degree in Pennsylvania. Setting up his practice in Texas, he seemed destined for a quiet, professional life. However, Holliday had a strong passion for playing cards, a pastime that gradually lured him away from his dental chair and into the saloons of the Old West. It was through his love of gambling that he crossed paths with some of the most famous figures of the era, including the legendary lawman Wyatt Earp. Holliday's association with Earp and other well-known figures of the Wild West brought him into a world filled with excitement and notoriety. He became involved in numerous high-stakes poker games, and his sharp mind and quick wit made him a formidable opponent at the card table. Holliday was known for his fondness for alcohol, which, combined with the stress of his turbulent lifestyle, only exacerbated his existing health problems. From a young age, Holliday had suffered from tuberculosis, a common and often deadly disease at the time. His condition gradually worsened over the years, likely aggravated by his hard-living lifestyle and constant travel. Realizing his health was deteriorating, Holliday sought relief in the dry mountain air of Colorado, which was thought to be beneficial for those with respiratory ailments. He checked into a sanitarium in Glenwood Springs, hoping that the medical care and climate would help ease his symptoms. Despite these efforts, Holliday's health continued to decline. The once vibrant man who had made a name for himself in the saloons of the West became increasingly frail. In 1887, at the young age of 36, Doc Holliday passed away peacefully in his bed at the sanitarium. His death marked the end of a life that had been as tumultuous and colorful as the era in which he lived.
Please like and share if you find the video content interesting and useful. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel and comment below so as not to miss the upcoming interesting videos. Thanks for watching.